Hi, my name is Thomas Hynes, and I am the author of Wild City, A Brief History of New York City and 40 Animals. And welcome to my Goodreads virtual book tour. Now, this book is really a love letter to New York City that's been disguised as a book about urban wildlife. Another way I like to describe this book is that it's National Geographic meets New York Post. That is to say, it is informative, but it's also a little bit irreverent too. So I was very lucky to work with the brilliant illustrator Kath Nash on this book. And as you can see, there are some truly beautiful illustrations throughout the book. So I wrote Wild City in a number of coffee shops and public libraries throughout the city, but the bulk of the work was done right here in our home office, AKA our dinner table. And some of the books that were very helpful to me in writing this book include your foundational New York City history books, such as The Island at the Center of the World, The Death and Life of Great American Cities. You got Manna-Hata by Eric Sanderson, and of course, the big boy, The Power Broker by Robert Caro. But I also like to get into a little bit more of the nuances of New York City's particular ecology. This book right here, The Hidden Waters of New York City, really grabbed me right away. I also would really recommend Gotham Unbound by Ted Steinberg. This book here, A Natural History of New York City by John Kieran, is very interesting to me. Now, John Kieran was a New York Times reporter, and there's actually a nature trail named for him in Van Cortlandt Park in the Bronx. What's interesting about this book is that it came out in the 1950s, right as New York City was entering into its worst environmental phase in all of its history. Suffice to say, there are a lot more animals living in New York City now than there were when that book was written. We also have a few wildlife-specific books that I'd like to highlight, including The Big Oyster by Mark Kurlansky, The Cultural Lives of Whales and Dolphins. This one's all about whale song and how they communicate. Just completely fascinating. You got Infested. This one's about bed bugs. This is also illustrated. It has teeny tiny little bed bugs that look like they're running across the page. It's completely terrifying. And then this book on the pigeon. People don't give pigeons enough respect, and they definitely deserve a second look. And this is the first book people should read to open their minds on these incredible birds. Those have ones on mosquitoes, sharks, and one on peregrine falcons. So we're coming to you today from Brooklyn Heights. Right outside my window, I can hear birds singing. I can hear horns honking and New Yorkers going about their daily lives. In other words, it was the perfect place to write a book about New York City wildlife. Anyway, thank you again for joining me on my Goodreads virtual book tour. The book is called Wild City, A Brief History of New York City and 40 Animals. Thanks so much.